welcome to Caroline's Craft Tree. Today I am just going to show you how I make my beaded dangles. I just want to say that I am not a beader. I don't make jewelry, anything like that. I just play at doing this just because I like putting the dangles on the journals. So I just wanted to show you a few dangles that I made. Here is one, just pinks and kind of a reddish color and whatnot. And this is one way of doing them where there's one bead on an eye pin and you just fill up your chain. So there is that way. There is this, where you put a number of beads and then you put a little dangly bit on the end of the dangle. So there is that kind. Here is another one where I've just used a bunch of larger beads. This is about as large of a bead as I go. And that. And this is, somebody gave me a bracelet, or I might have got it at the thrift store, not really sure, can't remember. But you can see the bracelet here where these flowers are. Anyways, I just took the bracelet and I dangled, just trying to find my end, and then I just dangled a bunch of beads and some charms. I made that into a dangle. This one here was a piece of jewelry, a necklace that somebody gave me. This was the center of the necklace, and then there was just a chain coming out from each end. And I'm like, well, that's a perfect dangle. It's a bit long for what I would use, but I thought, well, it's the perfect dangle. So you don't even really have to really make them. All that I did was add the lobster claw on the end. So here's another one. And they all are chains and they all have the lobster claw. I also use little gemstones. And this was like kind of a Hawaiian theme necklace somebody gave me. And I just took off all these beads. I don't know what they're made out of. Maybe some kind of plastic or wood or something. I'm not really sure. But they're very pretty. They're all carved. A lot of the beads look like carved flowers, etc. And then I just put them on a chain and it makes a perfect dangle. So a few things that I have learned just kind of from doing. There is a couple different styles of chains. Now this one here, all the links kind of lay flat and go the same way. And then you get this type that one link goes one way, the other link goes the other way. And I prefer this one because I find it just makes my dangle look more fuller because you can get the beads going in different directions. So I use 4 different types of pliers, which I got from Michael's. They are a bead landing brand, and they were on a clearance rack. They were not expensive at all, but they do the trick for what I want to do. And then of course you get all your different kinds of head pins. You get fancy ones, head pins, eye pins, and then you also get like a ball pin, I want to say it's called, because it's got a little ball on the end. They come in different weights, different lengths, etc. So depending on what you want to do, that could determine what exactly the head pin that you would want. I'm just using a mixture of different colors because I have lots of different ones, odds and ends. So something else that I use, this is just a little painter's tray from the dollar store. Works great because then I can separate the beads a little bit. Normally my beads are all separated by types, you know, the same type in a bag, but you end up with the odds and ends. So this is odds and ends from what I was doing for days gone by. I also got a whole bunch of beads from BeeBee Crafts, which I'm going to make a dangle for you today with them. Now these are a weathered agate bead, which are really, really pretty. But I'm not going to use those. I'm going to use these faceted beads, which I got like 10 strands of them. They have a YouTube program, which I'll leave a link to that below. And I'll leave a link to the beads. But you can see the different colors in these faceted beads. So I'm going to use some of those in this project, as well as some of these clear brown looking ones that I happen to have. So I'm going to add some of those in there as well. And these are the blue ones that I got, which are really, really nice as well. So very nice beads, very good quality. So I will leave a link to those. I also got these ones from there too, which I've got a tutorial on these for crocheting with them. So keep an eye out for that. So let's start by opening up a jump ring. I keep all my jump rings and whatnot in these little containers. I have a big container up here full of all these little compartment things like that that I just showed you. So now for a jump ring, you just open it by pliers on each side and open it up. I am going to put on my lobster claw and my chain. And then I'm just going to twist it back together. And there it is. Now I've learned that when you're doing the jump ring to just twist it. You don't want to pull it apart. You just want to twist it. So there is that. I got a few you can use bead caps if you like also. I'm not going to use bead caps in this project. There's lots of tutorials on beading and stuff out there. And as I say, I'm not a beader. I'm by far an expert. I just play around with it. So I'm going to use one of these big ones for the bottom. So I'm just going to slide it on to my head pin. Take my wire cutters. Now when I first started, I had trouble deciding how long to leave the head pin from the end of my bead to where I wanted to cut it. And I finally figured out that if I put my fingers like that on it, now this may not work for you, and then I cut just above my fingers. I have a piece of foam on my desk. It just helps stop everything from rolling around. And I'll stick this end in my foam, and then I cut it, and it doesn't go flying around my room. And I have lots of stuff all around my room right now because I have been beading for a number of days. So I want to bend that over. And how far you bend it over, I'm not too picky on that. That looks like about a good, I don't know if you can see that or not. And I grab my round pliers, grab the end, and then I just twist it around. So I've come about, I guess, 3/4 of the way. So I'm just going to grab it like so. And I'm going to hook that onto the end. of my chain. I'm going to pin that because I want the end, I want it to close pretty much. And if I feel I haven't closed it quite enough, I'll take these little pliers, and it's going to be hard to show because my fingers will be in the way, but I just grab my loop and I just give it a little squeeze, and that way I know that it's going to be closed up here. So there is the start. Now before we go too far, I've been doing the dangles for about 3 days now, and I store them on these big rings. Now a lot of us use these rings for our ring bound journals. There's, I don't know, 15 or so dangles on this, and then I hang them on my wall, which is behind me, which I call my tassel wall. And I love looking at them. That's why I like having them out like that. And it's a good way to display them. But then I can just pull them down, and I can decide which one I want to put on the journal. I am going to do a detailed video on some of these charms because I am going to put a bunch of them on Etsy for sale. But just to give you a little bit of an idea of what I've been at and what I've been spending my days at the last few days. And I do silver, gold, bronze, and even like a black silver. It's not black, but it's not a silver either. So I do those colors as well. So this gives you a good idea of what I'm doing. So we got that. So we're going to make one of these dangles that has one bead on a head pin. Now the one thing that I did learn the other day that helped me that I didn't know before is on a link of a chain. Hopefully you can see this link right there. There is a bead coming off each side of it. Then on the next link down, there is 2 beads coming off of there. And so on and so forth all the way down. I find it gives your tassel, when you're doing a tassel like this here, it makes it look much fuller and more roundish. And I really, really like now how those turn out. So that's what we're going to do today using a variety of these. So let's start off with a couple of these. So let's just start. And I might add a few different colors in here just to give it a little more color. We'll see how it looks as we go along. So we've got some of these beads from BeeBee Crafts. Okay, so when I do that, I put the head pin in, and then again I just turn it. So it's like about 3/4 closed. And now, and I find it easier to just grab them with my pliers. And I'm going to put this one on the very bottom link, so I have 2 beads in that bottom link. Makes the bottom look a little fuller. Once it's on there, I just close that up. And again, if it's not closed, I just take that and give it a little squish. I usually just plug in a movie or something on the computer and listen to it while I am doing this. I never rush at doing them. I never rush at doing anything these days. So I'm going to take this. No, let's take one of these silver ones. And we're going to put that on there. Again, just a flat head pin. And being that the length varies, you can use whatever length you feel you need to use. And again, I put my fingers through, and this is just how I measure to make it easy. And then I'm going to snip that much off. Because I just want enough so I can bend it over. And grab the end. And twist it back. Like that. Now I'm going to put this one on the next link up from this one here. So I'm going to hook it into the next link up. Close up that loop. As I say, I always check it because I don't want them to fall off. And I'd rather take this moment to close it up a little more using these pliers than to have something come off. And I'm sure there's lots of beaders out there. No, you don't have to do that. But to me it's worth that extra second to... So now we've got 3 beads on there. So now we're going to put another one on the second link up there. So let's take one of these round ones. And hook up an eye pin. Again, use my fingers as a spacer. You'll have to kind of figure out how far up you want to do that, because if your fingers are a different size, that might not work for you. So I've bent it over a bit. I'll grab it and twist, hold it. Now it's going to go across from that last bead we put on. And that way we have 2 beads onto that link. Close that up. And squish that loop just closed a little bit more. There we go. So now we've got another one. Now we're going to keep doing this till we get however many beads we want on there. Now on this one here, the bead part is probably, I don't know, 4 inches, 3.5 inches long. And then there's another 1.5 inches or so of chain and the lobster pin. Or lobster claw, sorry. So I think these are my favorite way of doing them. Although I do like just the ones that dangle all over the place. So I'm going to add on one of these leaves. Somebody gave me a weird looking, I think it was a lampshade or something actually. And it had these leaves on it. So I'm going to actually try and put one of these on there. Now they've already been circled on the end to make it easier. So I'm going to put this on. We're going to go up to the next chain link and put this on. I think this will kind of look cool on here. Close that up a bit. So it's going to add a little bit of filler type stuff too to the... Just going to bend this a little bit the other way so it lays a little flatter. There we go. So now we will put another link or another bead on the other side. So let's do that now. And this is when we can alter things a little bit, add different beads if we want a little bit of different color. I don't have any bigger, actually. Let's put one like this on there. Just to give it a little bit of extra color in there. I'm going to put in an order on the BeeBee Crafts soon again for more jewelry finding stuff like the head pins and whatnot like that. They have all kinds of good stuff on there. So now this bead is going to go on the opposite side of that leaf. Put it on, close up that circle. And there we go. I think that's going to make quite a nice tassel when we're all done. So there is that. So, and as I say, you just keep going until you get to how long you would want the beads. I would probably go up to about there, and then that would leave that much with nothing on it. So I just keep going, and I just keep holding it up, and I finally say, okay, that's enough. So the other thing that I will show you is on this one here, each part is like that. It's got this little end piece on it, and this is where I use the eyelet, the eye pins. So I'll show you how I did that. So I took a small one of these, the eye pins, and I strung on 3 beads. I put on a little clear one, I put on one of these silver ones from BeeBee Crafts, and then another clear bead, and then I just did the eye like I normally would on anything else. Then I took one of the eye pins and I attached that onto the eye that I made on the other piece. So then now you've got this part that dangles. So then we've got a couple of bead caps. So if we put one of those on, and the bead caps give it a nice finish. These aren't quite the right size of beads. Let's take this bigger bead here. You can see how nice the bead cap looks on there. Let's put that on the top. So it gives the bead a whole different look. So you've got that with the bead cap, and you've got that without. So then you could just stack up beads depending on what effect you want to go for. And these are great if you want to just make those and then dangle them on the end of your page. So I'm not going to chop any off there because I've only got that much anyways. So let's just fold that over and bring back that. And I'm going to go all the way, close it right up. Now all that I'd have to do is put that onto a bulb pin, and it would make a beautiful dangle on the edge of your page. Or you could even make 2 of them and you got yourself a pair of earrings. and put them onto a shepherd's hook or something. So very easy to do, really. You just have to sit down and do it. When I started doing journals, I was scared to try it, and I was actually trading a lady she was making me beaded dangles, and I was giving her some other stuff because I was scared to try them, and I just started collecting stuff, and now I don't have any trouble making them whatsoever. Yeah, I really like making them. This was just one that I was playing around with, and you can see how it's coming together. Just a big variety of odds and ends. They were coming out of this white dish that I have, and just odds and ends of beads that were just left over from my other projects. So, and once you get going on them, it's kind of a non-stop, and you love it. I've got lots of different things. I keep a lot of my things in these little containers. They come in this container here, which I got at Michael's. So I keep, you know, my jump rings and bead caps and stuff like that into here. It keeps it nice and neat and tidy. All my chain and my large eye pins and whatnot, I keep in these, which again, I got them at Michael's. They're actually for holding photographs, but they work really good. And then there's the bigger container that all these go into. And my beads, I keep my beads in containers like this. It's not going to really fit in the camera, but give you an idea. And I've got them all sorted. Like, these are my blues, multicolored ones, reds, yellows, greens, purples, whites, clears, black, etc. I try to keep them fairly organized because I like to be organized. Makes it easier to grab what I want when I want it. And I do try to keep them separated by colors, types, sometimes sizes, but different colors. It really varies. I know where everything is. And if I have beads that kind of go together, I'll keep them in a baggie together, because then I can use them and whatnot. I've made about probably 60 or 70 dangles so far. I think I'll play with a few more and use up more of my odds and ends of beads. So hopefully you will try it. You really don't need a lot of stuff, and they're so easy. Once you get going, you'll find them easy. So hopefully the couple things I showed you will help. And I hope you like the video. Share the video, subscribe to my channel, all that fun stuff. And we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.